Welcome to the VIP Masterclass series. I'm Josh Wright, and today's episode is dedicated to Mitchell. We were going over something in a lesson last week that had to do with music theory, and he's coming to piano a little later in life. I believe he's in his 50s, and he said, I need shortcuts to everything, basically. So it's been really fun to kind of teach him the most efficient ways to practice in regards to everything. But we were going over these theory things, and he's a really smart guy. He does a lot of research on his own and reads a lot of books on his own. And he's like, have you ever heard of finding the bird? I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But he's like, but it helps with seventh chords. And so we went over this. And he said, make a video on this kind of, to clear this up for me and, reinforce what we went over in the lesson. And I said, I think the viewers are going to absolutely love this because it's a shortcut to find what inversion your seventh chord is in. It will help you. And also we'll go over triads as well today so that you can quickly analyze music. One of the great aids when you're memorizing is to be able to think of what harmony you're in. So for instance, I was memorizing last night Rachmaninoff third concerto. It's just kicking my butt totally. There's this passage, third movement, that goes okay, so I know those chords. E flat major, E flat diminished, or sorry, augmented, sorry. G minor, A7, F minor, and then there's a G on top. Sometimes you have to kind of deduce what chords are, what notes are part of the tone and which ones aren't. B flat 7. And then he does that chromatic shift to G minor. Okay, so it is difficult to get good at this, and I will say that I really started to get good at analyzing in my master's, and then I took it to a whole new level in my doctorate because my teacher at Michigan, Logan Skelton, is a genius. Literally, I think just a genius, period, because he just devours information and remembers everything. It's unbelievable. I think he is the smartest man I've ever met when it comes to music. Unbelievable mind. He could be analyzing Rachmaninoff passages like this. Honestly, in that kind of stuff, I'm just thinking of the chromatic lines, and I'm thinking, where are my F sharp minor chords, landmark notes, because it's in F sharp minor. I'm not thinking, but he could analyze that stuff like, oh, E half diminished 7, G borrowed from this key, all this stuff. So if you get good at this, you'll get quicker at memorizing. So let's just go over triads to begin with. Okay, a triad is 2 thirds stacked on top of each other, third plus third, okay? Or in other words, they're a 3-note chord, okay? And generally we call the thirds stacked on top of each other, if they're root, third, fifth, above the bass, we call that root position, okay? Basically that, E, G, C, is simply a reordering. You're just putting the bottom on top, so it's E, G, C. Now, some people will call this third, fifth, root, because they're going back to their original one. I want you to get away from that. I want you just to think in terms of thirds and fourths for this trick, okay? So third plus third. Inversion is third plus fourth, first inversion. Second inversion is fourth plus third. Root position is third plus third. Okay, so let's just go over what that looks like on a staff. I printed out these huge staffs, so hopefully you can see this. So that would just be your C, E, G. Third, C to E is a third, E to G is a third. Okay, the next one, I know this might be slow going for some of you who are more advanced, but you're going to want to stay tuned because I did not know about this 7th chord stuff that we're going to get to in a second. This would be first inversion. See how it's a third, E to G, plus a fourth, G to C, okay? And then G, C, E, okay? So if you see that, a fourth plus a third, you know that's second inversion. And then back to root. So root, first inversion, second inversion, root. Okay? Now, a faster way is if it all stacks up into thirds, you know it's root. Okay, so we'll just put an R for root. If the third is on the bottom, we'll call that first inversion. If the third is on the top, we'll call that second inversion. And then obviously these stack up. So let's take another chord. Let's take a trickier one. We'll take C sharp, F sharp, A. Okay, so I'm going to write this here. So C sharp, F sharp, A. Okay. Immediately, you can go to your trick and say, oh, second inversion, because the third is on the top. Now, you can go a step further with your shortcuts, and you can memorize where the root is in each of these. Now, if this is too much information, just say, okay, that's second inversion, and then reorder it really fast. By the way, you get good at doing that in your mind after a while. So like my student was, Mitchell was saying, oh, you know, like, how do you do that so fast? And it was just like, I've just practiced it a lot. He's like, I want the shortcut on how to do it faster. So if things stack up in thirds, we know that's root position. The bottom note is tonic. The bottom note would be C major. Okay, E, G, C. If it's first inversion, the third is on bottom. The remaining note on top is your tonic. Okay, G, C, E. If the third's on top, it's your middle note. Okay, so it's bottom, top, middle. Root position, first inversion, second. That might be a little bit too much information to memorize. It might get confusing. But if it helps you, if you can remember those steps, that is a shortcut on how to find where tonic is. So the reason I did that is I give you a random chord, C sharp, F sharp, A. You can say, okay, well, I know the third's on top, so I know that's second inversion, and where is tonic? Well, we said that in second inversion, tonic is that middle note there, so it's F sharp minor. So we know it's an F sharp minor chord. And you do have to get good at figuring out, like, okay, what does major sound like, minor, diminished, and augmented. After a while of ear training, you can get good at identifying those. So if it's too confusing for you to remember that step, just reorder it. Say, okay, it's in second inversion, so all I have to do is bring up that bottom note. So F sharp, A, C sharp. Okay, that's back in root. So then you look at your bottom note. It's F sharp minor, or it's F sharp, and then you would say, okay, is this major, minor, diminished, or augmented? Oh, it's minor. Okay, so that is the triad tricks. I hope that's helpful. Let's go on to 7th chords. Now this is really cool. So in 7th chords, there's root position, first. Thank you so much for watching. I've listed 2 links in the description below. One of them is to download this full video that you've just watched the sample for. The other is to view the entire library of VIP MasterClass series videos. I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.